Hey guys. Hey Anton. Hey Anton. Look what I'm doing. I'm doing a live stream. What's up? Watching the election. Go Trump. We need Trump to win. Trump. Let's go. What's up? Yes, I did. Vote for Trump. Why?
All right, let's go to Tom Lydon at DFL headquarters. Tom, you mentioned the mood being a little bit somber. Has that changed now with Minnesota being called?
It's a little better. There was
What's
a
up?
scattering of applause. DFL Party Chair Ted Martin just got to the podium and he said, congratulations, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris.
Why CNN? I'm watching it live on
They're
YouTube.
not going to count any more or declare any more races tonight. They're actually calling it quits here and wrapping it up. He said, we're going to be patient. Every vote, every person.
Not wrapping up tonight, but it could take a couple of days. On the issue of fracking, George, I spent some time in western Pennsylvania, both the last election and this one, around Beaver County, just outside of Pittsburgh, where Shell is building a gigantic plant because fracking has just transformed that.
That's awesome.
Of the state, as you know, as anybody
Good for you.
those towns which were really beaten down after the disappearance of the steel industry have lifted up the broadcast from there because the trucks are moving by so much. You can feel the economic activity that fracking has brought to that part of Pennsylvania, and in talking to people, how much it means to them. And they were genuinely concerned about what a Joe Biden administration said.
Comment below who's gonna win.
They did not. I don't feel like the sense that he dipped his toe in the water at all, because it has lifted up communities that have been ground down almost into despair, and now it's a boomland right now.
Okay, John Carl, what else are you picking up right now? Well, I'm looking at Georgia. I mean, Ohio has gone to Trump, so if you can give those 18 Electoral College votes, thank you, Lauren.
Thank you.
Our AP working here hard to get us your results. All right, so let's reset. Here's where we stand right now. A couple of key states have been called, Carolina. We'll start with Minnesota. I'll let you handle Ohio. Let's start with Minnesota. This is a state that, again, Hillary Clinton won by just under 2 percentage points 4 years ago. A lot of that due to third-party candidates. 9% of the votes in 2016 had gone to those third-party candidates. We don't see that here.
Call it Ross Perot.
Trump takes Montana. If you can
Anna, here we go.
Ooh,
Trump, so
Montana.
those 3 Electoral College votes. So 223 to 139 is where we stand. Joe Biden, 47 away right now with how this is trending. Again, Florida's 29 Electoral College votes still hanging out there. But the important thing to remember about Minnesota, this has long been a Democratic stronghold.
Comment below who's
Trump was
gonna
able
win.
to really flip 19
Comment
counties in
below.
2016.
Trump or
We'll
Biden?
see what the final results are there in Minnesota, but it looks like Joe Biden was able to rally a lot of that support there. And one of the states he needed in the Rust Belt. This is the blue wall. Minnesota, again, wasn't lost in 2016. We're still waiting to see what happens here. Ohio, a big one for the president.
Ohio, big one. So we saw a push from the Democrats with Cleveland area, with Cuyahoga County, trying to get the votes there, moving into Lake County, really spreading out that northern part of Ohio, trying to get that to turn blue. Cleveland, for the most part, does go blue.
Oh my God, Illinois is
Iowa
Democrat.
has gone to President Trump.
Oh my God, I live in Illinois.
So here's where we stand right now. Still waiting on a couple of key states here, but the map being filled in, and filled in rather quickly. President Trump winning Ohio was critical, and the key, here's the key. One stat you gotta know about Ohio. No Republicans
10 more
have won the House
states.
without Ohio.
10
Trump needed that. He needed to win
more
Ohio. He's gotten it.
states.
It gets him closer. It's still coming down. Still coming down to those Rust Belt states. Arizona's going to be interesting. Let's see what happens in Texas, what happens in Georgia, and North Carolina. But it seems like our night, Carolina, and this election
May end here. Waiting on that.
going to be interesting. All right, so In about 15 seconds, we're going to jump over to CBS, take over from Nora O'Donnell for a few minutes. You can join us there. Yep. You can stay here. We're going to be everywhere. So just hang out with us. Stay right here with us. We've got a lot of coverage coming ahead as we wait to call Florida and a lot of the other Electoral College pieces of the puzzle start to settle in.
Woo.
Hi there, thank you so much for joining us on 10 Tampa Bay. America Decides, our update, of course, all eyes on Florida right now, but I want to give you a quick update. The Associated Press just calling Ohio for President Donald Trump. We also have Iowa and its 6 electoral votes also going to President Donald Trump. Hawaii, just a few minutes ago, going to former Vice President Joe Biden. So we are now starting to shorten that map. We are now starting to see fewer states up for grabs, waiting for those results to come on in.
We are following all the races here. Ryan Bass and Carolina Lee with you here on 10 Tampa Bay. We appreciate you guys staying up late tonight. Again, I do want to repeat this. It is okay if we do not learn who wins the presidency tonight.
It's fine. We may not.
Breathe. Yeah. We're here with you. We're continuing the coverage. We're waiting to call Florida's 29 Electoral College votes. Those should be coming hopefully within the next half an hour. But there are a lot of pieces to the puzzle that still need to be figured out across the state. We're going to continue our coverage on digital as well. Here on 10 Tampa Bay, we want to take you through the amendments. A lot of those down ballot amendments were really important on this year's election. Which passed, which didn't. 10 Tampa Bay's Eric Glasser runs you through.
So let's run through them quickly. Here's how Florida voted on those 6 proposed constitutional amendments. Starting with Amendment 1, changing the text of who's eligible to vote in Florida from every U.S. citizen to only a U.S. citizen. Experts said that would effectively do nothing. Voters apparently disagreed, passing it with ease. On Amendment 2, Florida's minimum wage is going up. COVID-19 made it a tougher sell in a weakened economy. Still, Amendment 2 managed to eke out a win, so Florida's minimum wage will increase to $15 an hour by the year 2026. Amendment 3, which would have opened up Florida primaries to all voters, was defeated, as was Amendment 4, which would have required future constitutional amendments to get at least 60% of the vote in 2 elections. Voters seem to think 1 is tough enough. And voters clearly liked Amendments 5 and 6. 5 gives people an extra year if they sell their primary residence to carry that Save Our Homes tax break over to another homesteaded property. And Amendment 6 lets the surviving spouse of a permanently disabled veteran hang on to an extra exemption as long as they continue to own the home and live there.
All right, let's get you caught up real quickly on some of the big local races of the night. One of the latest races that we have called is District 42, the seat there. Fred Hawkins with 47%. Southern Hillsborough County. As well. It was a big night for
Hey guys, Ryan Bass, Carolina Lee, still here with you on digital. So, all right, here we are. Night's still ahead of us. It's 12:28. You guys got your coffee, hopefully. Hopefully you are ready to dig in. We're still waiting. Here's the Electoral College Map. Come on and hang out with me, Carolina. You want to take a break? You can take a break.
You promised me second coffee around.
I did. That's true. If Starbucks is still open, If Starbucks is still open, I gotta get you a nice café con leche here so we can continue to finish the night. Props to you. What a great night it has been so far for our coverage here on 10 Tampa Bay. So glad to be here with you. Thank you all so much for continuing to follow our coverage and trusting us with what has been a historic turnout so far, and what certainly would be a pretty historic election here as well. So take us through, Carolina, what we're looking at right now.
All right, so what we're looking at right now is we're waiting for Florida to be called. That's the headline right now at this point of the night. Simply because of the lead that President Donald Trump has. But we're waiting on the Associated Press to call that race. But again, they have not called that race. I know other
Look at
networks,
that.
have called it. The Associated Press has not. Therefore, we have not just yet. But yeah, it's an
Can you see
incredible
that?
difference right now.
It really is.
100% of the precincts reporting. But why don't you show some of the counties that still may have some precincts that are still waiting?
So here's kind of where we're waiting. So you guys know, again, 6,085 of the 6,097 precincts have reported. Florida always close.
Yeah.
We told you we were going to be focused on accuracy over being quick and rapid here. But this is what we're looking at. I'll tell you this just right out front. Joe Biden, unlikely he's going to come back and win the state. It would take a miracle at this. It'd be a Hail Mary for a sports reference at this point to come back and win the state. But we're waiting for a couple of precincts down here in Palm Beach County, a couple of precincts down here. You see the reporting about 4 precincts in Dade County, and then up here in Madison. We're waiting on 1 precinct. So that's what we're looking at right here as far as precincts we are waiting for in Florida. But it's close. Potentially, a race here that could be called within minutes, within the next half an hour. But it is looking, at this point, like Donald Trump is going to win this state. And the difference really was, look, we ran into the scenarios earlier, and I think the big thing we talked about, and kudos to Biden, he won some of the counties that were swing counties. I mean, he flipped Pinellas, he flipped Seminole, he flipped Duval. Those are 3 counties that he needed to flip. Those are 3 counties that he was hoping to flip, and he did. The difference, though, is Trump dominated in Trump country. Down here in the corner of the state. Collier County, I mean, look at the difference. 44,000 votes 4 years ago, 51,000 votes this year. 75,000 votes in Lee County. 6,000. We'll stay on 2016.
Florida's gonna win.
Charlotte County down there. 26,000 in 2016, 30,000 here in 2020. Let's start to get into some of our area here. Sarasota County, 26,000 votes. I mean, they had, in the primary this year, they had a record turnout. You expect the turnout to be high again down here in Sarasota. 26,000 votes in 2016, 28,000. But what you're seeing, what's the trend we're seeing here, Carolina?
And then, as you make your way from there, from Sarasota County, Manatee County, and then just start working your way east. I know that those areas aren't as highly populated as, obviously, Pinellas, Seminole, Hillsborough, Orange County, some of the more populous areas. But you start working your way even just across the middle of the state, south of I-4, not that I-4 corridor, there as well. You start adding them up one by one, and you can see the drastic difference and how he's able to add it all up.
I mean,
and then the heat map, I don't know if you can pull that up.
Yeah, the heat map's pretty interesting, too, because you can see how the redder
light, Miami County, yes. You see, there's a difference there, right? So you see blue and red. But that's why we pull up this heat map to show you the difference of when it's leaning Republican, leaning Democrat. That's not a bright blue.
Yeah, take a look. I mean, you mentioned, I'm glad you brought up the heat map, because go back to 2016. Look at how blue.
Yes.
I mean, it wasn't solid blue, but it was darn close. The solid blue areas of the state. Look what Donald Trump was able to do this year in 2020.
Yeah.
What's up,
I mean, that is right there. What helped put Donald Trump over the top of
And
Florida.
also the Panhandle and the northern part of our state, those are pretty saturated red, right? So that shows you, how much it went in his direction, which was part of the goal here. That was part of the goal here, to make sure, hey, I'm going to keep these counties, but I'm also going to try and hit that turnout.
I mean, look at what we just showed you. I mean, again, running through the southwest portion of the state.
Yes.
This is whiter and richer than a lot of what our electorate is in Florida. This is a lot of white and rich down here. And all those counties, Donald Trump padded leads. Go to Pasco County. And I mentioned this nugget to start the show. 51,000 was the padded lead in the win victory margin there.
comment below who's gonna win
in 2016.
in life.
Pasco County.
Comment below.
He has broken the 1984 record that Ronald Reagan had for margin of
Biden.
victory for a Republican.
Let's
Here with
see.
60,000.
Woo.
Incredible what Donald Trump was able to do in some of our northern counties. Hernando County, 32,000. Look at that. I mean, adding about 4,000 votes. We talk about Dade, and Dade is so important, and he ate into those margins. But look at all the padded lead that Donald
No.
Trump got in some of these other counties. Another 5,000 votes in
Biden.
Citrus. I mean,
Freak.
this
You
is what
freak
this is what
Biden.
potentially won Donald Trump.
Freak
The southwest
Biden.
portion of the state.
I'm
a
not
lot of these
cussing
rural
on
areas
this
in the
channel.
Panhandle. He padded those
No
leads.
cussing.
He won Trump country. He got his base to turn out and
Biden
vote for him.
sucks.
And it looks like he's going to kind of keep Florida red, which he needed.
And Ryan, we're expecting
Trump is
former
better.
Vice President Joe Biden to speak. No idea what it is he's going to say, but that's a live look at Delaware, Wilmington, Delaware, his home state, where he's from. But we've seen him also in Pennsylvania.
Woo,
he has roots in the Scranton
Trump.
area as well. And you
Woo.
can see there that we are expecting to hear him speak. Not entirely sure. We're not sure when he's going to talk or what he's going to talk about. But we do expect him to speak shortly. You can see there the crowd, the people. They've done a lot of these drive-in, events throughout the country. You can see everyone wearing a mask, and they all have their cars lined up. They're watching coverage on a couple of big screens there in Wilmington, Delaware, as we await many of the key states to be called or to get some
Wear your masks.
on how they're going
Wear
to
your
go, whether
masks.
they be red or they be blue. But yeah, this is a crowd right now in Wilmington, Delaware. You hear cheering. I don't know if that means he's walking out. I see something in the distance there. That
It's
might
2020
be
when
the
you
vice-
hear car horns honking at
Yes.
celebration.
Is that the former vice president there on the stage? I'm not exactly sure. I see honking right there. Oh, and maybe them reacting to the race here on the screen. My producer Brian, our producer Brian, telling us right now. But yeah, you see they are waiting there. You see the American flag there in the background as well. And
Whoa.
a sea of cars there. It looks like a good showing there. Oh, okay. We have a results for Florida. We've been waiting on this, and it is.
We have breaking news. We can now tell you accurately, according to the Associated Press, Donald Trump has won Florida's 29
Woo.
electoral college votes. We can
Yeah.
officially say that. He won it in 2016.
Florida.
As we come back here,
Trump
in
won
2020,
Florida.
Donald
Woo.
Trump, 29 electoral college
Biden
votes in Florida.
sucks.
He has now won those. Here's your map. This is what it looks like. We're updating some of the scenarios over here. This is what it
Yeah.
looks like. Here's your winner. In Florida, in 2020, Donald Trump, the incumbent president, needed Florida's 29 electoral college votes. No Republican has ever won or has won the White House in 96 years without Florida. 1924, that was Calvin Coolidge. He needed Florida. He got it. Donald Trump is competitive. This is his path now to re-election, and it runs through the Sunshine State.
And a significant lead there. You see, 3 percentage points, I get that, but 376,000 votes that put Donald Trump in the lead to win the state of Florida and those 29 electoral votes that go his way. But
We're still waiting on some critical races here, though. I mean, I'll tell you what, while we can project, and AP now can officially call Florida, as we're kind of looking here and just making sure we can get everything updated for you. Florida's 29 electoral
David?
college votes.
What's up?
What is the time now? It is 12:35 a.m.
Comment below, who are you voting
So
for?
12:35 a.m. It is official.
Yeah.
What many of you had guessed would happen over the last hour is now official here on 10 Tampa Bay. President Trump has won Florida. It's 29 electoral
Woo.
college votes. The last 6 elections, Florida has gone with the winner of the White House. 3 times Democrat, 3 times Republican, but this time around.
Yeah. Trump 2020,
The
man.
biggest swing state with the most critical electoral college votes has gone the way of the incumbent president.
And the incredible turnout that we saw, the incredible turnout. Now, one key difference too from 2016 to now is in 2016 he was a resident of New York. I mean, he's obviously incredibly known as a New Yorker. So now he is now a resident of the state of Florida, Mar-a-Lago, Palm Beach County. So that was a bit of a change. And you heard it.
No. No Biden. No Biden. I am
His home, and he would say,
reporting this comment, deleting this comment.
spoken to voters as well as he is now, one of our hometown.
No, Trump is better.
Let's show you. Donald Trump needed the 29 electoral college votes on his path to re-election. Had Joe Biden won this state, had he flipped it blue, I just want to show you, had he flipped it blue, he would have only needed 18. He did. Donald Trump wins our state. It now makes it competitive and close.
Yes.
174 to 223. As you see, as we get closer here, let me reset that just to make sure that we're not doubling up there. So right now, 96 Electoral College votes needed, 47 for the former Vice President Joe Biden. We're still waiting on a couple of key states here. Georgia, from what has been reported, and it looks like the early numbers from AP,
Trump
will lead, but we're still
2020.
waiting on those Atlanta County votes. That could swing the state Joe Biden's direction. Arizona is leaning Joe Biden. We're still waiting for official confirmation out there as they finalize those votes, but that would be a key state. We talked about Ohio. No Republican has ever won the White House with Ohio.
Right.
Same story for Arizona.
Yeah, and you got it. It's feeling a lot like 2016, right? And you
Isn't it?
Into the map.
And I know there was a lot of, on the Democratic side, fear, stress, worry that polls would be off again. There was a lot of cautious optimism as well.
Yes.
There's a lot still to be decided. I just want to let you guys know there is still a lot to be decided tonight. And it looks like the election, as it did 4 years ago, will come down to what happens in the Rust Belt states here. Remember, back in 2016, Donald Trump won these 3 states, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin, all 3 by just above a percentage point. All 3 combined, 80,000 votes. Right here is what put the president in the White House. Joe Biden, if he's able to flip, Pennsylvania,
Yeah, Trump
that basically
2020.
blocks all the blocks Trump's path to
No,
re-election.
no Biden.
Biden is able to win Wisconsin and Minnesota, which he's been leading comfortably in the polls heading into tonight. That as well could be another sign that he could potentially block the president. So there's a lot still to be decided. And I just don't want you, for those watching, whether you're on the red or the blue side, don't celebrate yet.
No.
Florida going one way
Absolutely not.
is not a cause for celebration. For the Republican side, it is, because this continues the path to re-election. If you're a Democrat and you're watching tonight and you're going, I'm sweating, there's still other paths to victory. For the president and for the Republican side, don't celebrate too early, because a lot still has to go your way in order to win re-election in 4 more years.
And real quick, Ryan, you mentioned Arizona. Right now, the AP reporting 73% of the vote, right? 75%, and it is leaning towards Joe Biden right now. So as we look at those numbers, with 75% leaning that way, but still, we still have quite a bit more to go.
We have a lot to go, guys.
It's not 95%.
We have a lot to go, guys. So, yeah, just to look at that as I'm kind of refreshing here, just to make sure I got caught up. I do want to update you on one important Senate race. Lindsey Graham has won re-election in South Carolina. That was against Jamie Harrison. Jamie Harrison had a lot of funding support. That was one of the most funded races there from a Senate perspective in South Carolina for a Democrat historically.
All right.
But that Senate race in South Carolina, really important. Lindsey Graham, AP's reporting, has won that
Let's
race.
go ahead and check in with the Biden campaign. It looks like he's on the
Who's
stage right now,
Kanye?
about to address the crowd.
I don't know who Kanye is. Who's that? What's IGBTQ? Is that Black Lives Matter? IGBTQ? What is that?
But look, we feel good about where we are.
BLM, I know that. LGBT, what's
We
that?
believe we're on track to win this election.
Lives. I don't know what that is.
We knew because of the unprecedented.
I don't know what
vote from the mail-in vote,
LGBT is.
It was going to take a while. We're going to have to
Do you
be
mean
patient
BLM?
until
Black Lives
the hard
Matter?
work of tallying votes is finished. And it ain't over till every vote is counted. Every ballot is counted.
Boo. Boo.
We're feeling good about where we are. We believe one of the nets has suggested we've already won Arizona, but we're confident about Arizona. That's a turnaround. We also just called it for Minnesota, and we're still in the game in Georgia. That's not what we expected. And we're feeling real good about Wisconsin and Michigan.
Yeah, I support gay people. They're okay.
Time to count the votes. We're going to win Pennsylvania.
They're okay. What about you?
Been talking to folks in Philly, Allegheny County, Scranton, and they're
No,
very
Biden's not
encouraged
pretty
by the
cool.
turnout and what they see. Look, you know, we could know the results as early as tomorrow morning.
He's sleepy, but Joe Biden.
I've said all along, it's
He
not
needs to
my
be in
place,
nursing
Donald
home.
Trump's place to declare who's won this election. That's the decision of the American people. but I'm optimistic about this outcome. And I want to thank every one of you who came out and voted in this election. And by the way, Chris Coons and the Democrats, congratulations here in Delaware. Hey, John, the Gov, yeah, the whole team, man. You've done a great job. I'm grateful to the poll workers, to our volunteers, our canvassers, everyone who participated in this democratic process. And I'm grateful to all my supporters here in Delaware and all
Hairline
across the nation.
check.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. And folks, you heard me say it before. Every time I walk out of my grandpa's house up in Scranton, he'd yell, Joey, keep the faith.
It was a
And my
TikTok thing.
grandma, when she was alive, you'll know, Joey, spread it. Keep the faith, guys. We're going to win this. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Your patience is great.
Take those masks off. Jeez.
And Joe Biden wrapping up addressing the crowd there in Wilmington, Delaware. He with his wife, Dr. Joe Biden,
Well, that's
who
a
was
cool
actually in
Jeep
the
Gladiator.
Tampa area, both in St. Pete and
What the
St.
heck? All of those are Jeeps.
Really pushing to get more voters out. She even, as he just did, thanked the campaign workers for all the work that they did, the countless hours of work that they did. But again, this isn't over. There's still more. but he just
No,
wanted to-
sir, no, ma'am.
No.
So Joe Biden sounding confident.
Why are people
and
pooping
mentioning
themselves?
Some of the key states, feeling good about his stance in Wisconsin and Michigan, two states that were blue prior to Trump flipping them
TikTok.
in 2016. Said he feels confident and every vote will be counted in Pennsylvania. There's been a lot of discussion
There has.
over post-election litigation and mail-in ballots arriving after today, November 3rd, that were postmarked today, that still are counted in Pennsylvania. That one, who knows, but we could see some litigation in the Keystone State. Said they weren't expected to win Georgia, right? But feeling confident in Georgia, given what's happening right now. Arizona, he mentioned. That's a key state that we talked about. Interesting, he didn't mention Texas. Didn't mention Texas, which again is a state that's right now leaning toward the president in winning those electoral college votes. So a lot to be decided. Arizona, Georgia, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. Focus
I might
here,
go on
ladies and gentlemen.
live on
This is what's gonna
TikTok now.
decide who wins this presidential election. Much like it did in 2016, that blue wall. Much like it did in 2012, the blue wall. Much like it did in 2008. Same story. Different year, wash, rinse, repeat. The blue wall is going to be key to who wins this White House and is elected for the next 4 years.
Yeah. I want to real quick check on Georgia. I want to see the Associated Press. How many precincts are reporting right now there in Georgia as we just talk about it? 83% of the precincts reporting. And then we have President Donald Trump ahead by, what is that, 8 points, 53% to 45%. Just want to give a little perspective as the vice president just talked about Georgia and the votes there. But
I'm live
still
on
we're at,
TikTok.
still quite a ways to go, but we're closing in. I mean, we're at 85%.
Check Discord and join the call.
And then of course North Carolina as well. Sorry if I walk out of
What's
the
your
way.
Discord?
North Carolina,
we're watching.
where we're
What's
at,
your Discord? I'll join if you
94% of the precincts
send me
reporting,
your
and that's what's
Discord in the
closer.
chat.
That's only a 2 percentage point difference. 50% for
Decided
President
by
Donald.
3.5 percentage points 4 years ago.
There you go. Between President Donald Trump ahead with 50% versus Joe Biden at 48%.
That's gonna be a really
So
close
kind of looking
race.
at those two.
So you want to focus on Georgia for a second. That could be the next race. These two could be the next states we see fall, North Carolina and Georgia. This was two states that Joe Biden wanted to flip North Carolina. And remember, Barack Obama back in 2008, when he won North Carolina, the first Democratic
It's the
candidate to
server
win
you're
in 32
in.
years. It's long been red. that
I'm
Joe
not
Biden
in
wanted
any
to flip
servers on Discord. I just have a Discord.
In North Carolina in 2008.
in North Carolina, which was huge African American
That we did
turnout.
not see with.
If you send me,
One thing I want to mention on Georgia, as we continue to watch this, Cobb, Gwinnett counties, Peach County, certainly key. Fulton County, where Atlanta is. That's
thanks
certainly
for the
key.
99
I believe
cents.
what has been
The
reported,
donation.
looking around from the Associated Press, what's outstanding
Good job.
in Georgia is a lot of
99
those ballots in
cents.
Atlanta, and suburbs around Atlanta. We know that it's a heavy Democratic county. Let's
That's
let's
funny.
change the votes one way or another. But these two states, tonight, we could either be getting closer to a Biden presidency by seeing these two states potentially. fall
Yeah,
this
I
way.
just
Biden
got
wins
money.
Arizona, it's still a hike. for President Trump. He's still in
I
the
don't know.
To really take it. Pennsylvania becomes even more critical if Biden wins Arizona. As Lars Hafner has talked about, if Biden
No, I'm
wins
not.
Arizona, he doesn't need
Not from
Pennsylvania
99
to be
cents.
in the White House. He can at least guarantee himself that we're looking at a tie, potentially, a 269 tie. I don't even want to wrap your head around that right now. I understand. But
With
Arizona,
99
North
cents, I
Carolina,
could buy
Georgia,
maybe
Pennsylvania, this blew up.
a gumdrop.
And you're seeing President Trump
Well,
trying to do what he
Ramek.
did, in
Who's
2016 with Texas,
what's Ramek?
Georgia, and North Carolina.
Ramen
He's seeing
noodles?
those called in next. That changes. I mean, that changes things. Again, it brings us back to what you just said. It brings us right back.
I'm going to show you. So it changes the game. Texas called for Trump, 212. Georgia gets called for Trump, 228. North Carolina, 243. Look what happens. Joe Biden has to win up here in the blue wall.
Yeah.
And still, Nevada is likely to go blue. So let's, I mean, that's still a swing state, but likely it was coming in leading Biden. That would be enough to put him over.
Oscar. I know a lot of
Again,
Oscars.
to those Rust Belt states. Arizona, let's say. he's
I know
able to
the
work that, even
hot
without,
dog
okay,
company
he's
Oscar.
30 away. 30 away. So he
Lot of
would need,
people.
in this case, he'd need Pennsylvania. In this case, if he's 30 away, to get him to that point, to get him over. So, same thing with Donald Trump. Look, 243.
Yeah.
I mean, he wins Pennsylvania, he's 7 away. I mean, he gets lucky. He takes, Alaska over there, or
Alaska,
Arizona.
sorry.
I mean, look.
Don't listen to
There's
who.
scenarios here that can play out. I know we kind of just ruined the map for you.
Yeah, we're gonna-
as we
See,
open
there was
it up.
like 2
You can
Oscars.
open up Alaska, yeah,
So I don't know any of you.
Texas.
Georgia, North
Bring it
Carolina,
back.
Texas. All right, here's where we stand
Yeah.
right now with the race. 177, 223. Joe Biden right now in the lead. The path is simple. Path is very simple. The Rust Belt.
The Rust Belt.
That's what it comes down to. Remember, I mean,
And we've been saying that for weeks. I mean,
We-
you look at polls, and it's not like that this is something that we've realized in the last few days. When you look at the numbers throughout those areas, this is something that's been discussed for weeks now, if not longer.
56 of the state's 67 counties Trump carried in Pennsylvania. He flipped Luzerne County. That was a key county that he hopes to win back here again. Erie, Pennsylvania, Erie County, right up here on the north, where am I looking? Pennsylvania. Northwest part of the state, okay? Up here. Less than 2,000 votes. That could have made the difference in Pennsylvania. Again, this was the closest race in 176 years in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania in 2016. Michigan, Wisconsin, Biden's confident. You heard him talk about up there on that stage. He's confident about those 2 states.
Michigan
At
and
this point right now,
Wisconsin?
without Georgia, North
No.
Carolina's gonna need those 2 states.
No,
He wants to be
not
elected. But
Michigan.
one thing we know for sure.
Michigan
because
is
Florida's 29
100%
electoral college
Trump.
votes went to the president, this
There's
race is wide
more
open right now,
Trump
and anything can happen.
signs out in
My
Michigan.
advice, get a good night's sleep. We might not know who wins the presidency tonight, and that's okay, because votes will still continue to get counted as they have been every single election, the day after election day. Now, the difference is going to be minimal, but I mean, basically 3 times, the amount of votes decided this year around, as we saw from 2016, 112,000 to 377,000. Donald Trump got his base to turn out, increased the margins in Trump country, and was able to keep Florida red, which he needed in his path to reelection.
All right, call it back.
We'll see what happens with the rest of
Okay.
the country here, Carolina.
Another
But
state.
buckle in, guys, because
Okay.
it's going to be a race to the finish here for the electoral map to reach the 270 needed and required to make you, president of the United States. So,
We have just about a little less than a minute till we go and speak with our TV audience, but I'm just taking a quick look at the Associated Press and what they're the reporting right now. 75%
Why you saying emojis?
And Joe Biden there with the lead, 53%.
I do want to jump in. President
Yeah.
Trump has tweeted that he will be making a big statement tonight. I will be making a statement tonight, a big win. He tweeted at 12:45, so that was about 7 minutes ago. So President Trump saying that he will address the nation tonight has to be confident with what he sees. Will he or will he not declare victory tonight with a lot still left to play? Who knows? But this is where the electoral map stands right now.
All right, keep an eye on Twitter there. All right, we're going to speak to our TV audience now. We'll get right back to you.
Thanks for the dollar. Oscar.
A historic election night looks like it's going to come down to the wire. Thanks so much for joining us on 10 Tampa Bay. America decides Thank you for Nora O'Donnell and the team in CBS handing it off to us for a few minutes. Ryan Bass here.
Those
with
are
you.
fake
We've got a lot
money.
to go over in the next few minutes.
Hi there, and I'm Carolina Lee.
Definitely
We have been
fake.
following races for some of Florida's biggest districts tonight. Let's go ahead and take a look at them. We have just confirmed.
Minutes ago, President Trump has won Florida.
President Trump has won, did in fact win the state of Florida in the 29 electoral votes there. The Associated Press calling our state.
It's fake money.
Excuse me, the incumbent this early morning. Now,
It's, I think, just, I think.
29 electoral college votes.
You buy stickers with money and then you can be like the top comment.
Taking it solidly when you look at the numbers that we see here. Now, nationally, we are still waiting on some really key states here. North Carolina, Nevada, Pennsylvania, Georgia as well, and of course the Rust Belt states that we have been keeping a very close eye on right now.
We're looking at the popular vote right now. Again, Democrats have won the popular vote 7 of the last 8 elections. We saw what happened in 2016. Hillary Clinton won by 3 million votes and still lost the presidency to Donald Trump. Let's take you into Florida for a second for those that are watching.
Silly old elbow, you broke boy.
Up in New York. Here's what made the difference and why Donald Trump is winning Florida again for this 4 years. After he won it 4 years ago, won it again here. He needed to. No Republican since 1924 has won the White House without Florida. Donald Trump needed to win. Here's what made the difference. Miami-Dade County. Here's in 2020. 83,000 was the difference in votes, but 100% of the precincts reporting. The difference from 4 years ago to now, President Trump was able to eat.
That's what my TikTok hat.
The Cuban Americans and Latino down here. When we see some of the final results, these are unofficial, by the way, but we have called Florida.
TikTok or Trump?
A huge difference. And then
I like this one more now.
I-10 and the Panhandle
Looks cool.
added the lead. Sumter County, we did not see the news of support from 4 years ago among seniors. Average age, median age, 66 here in Sumter County.
If you guys haven't seen all my TikTok stuff I got a TikTok bag. Got special package from TikTok for anyone who missed the YouTube video. Fanny pack.
Charlotte County, Sarasota, and Manatee.
T-shirts.
How much would
Pretty cool.
he certainly did that. Pasco County, for those of you up there,
David, answer my call.
the largest since 1984.
I don't have you added on phone.
Donald Trump improved on
I don't have.
really incredible.
I don't give out my number to subscribers.
Electoral College Map.
Sorry.
I mean, when we go back to it, Florida 29 electoral college votes now in the hands of the president, 223 to 177. This is what we're looking at right now.
Awesome.
Nora and them, I know are gonna talk
That's
about
good.
it. But Carolina, the race is gonna come down to the Rust Belt.
There's gonna be a special 10,000 follower
We are going to continue
special.
with you,
Gonna do something very
We
special.
want to thank you for joining us.
Maybe a
And
giveaway and other stuff. So make sure you're following me on TikTok. Yeah. What? I want to go on Twitter, but I forgot my password.
All right, hello there again. You've been with us throughout the night. Some people coming and going, but we've had a pretty steady audience tonight here on our social media pages, on YouTube, on Roku, on Facebook, on Twitter. It's been a good night as we continue to go through the numbers as we look at America Decides.
Let's take a look at the Electoral College Map over here, Carolina, and you and I have been breaking it down. I'll bring you over here with me as this will be our final few moments.
Now when I'm back on the live stream.
Moments here on the air.
Last few months, last few weeks, both candidates have really had a pretty incredibly busy schedule. Donald Trump over the weekend pulling just an enormous amount of stops, knowing that how important it is. We learned that in 2016 when then candidate Hillary Clinton missed a couple of opportunities, right? To
Especially in Wisconsin and Minnesota, states that were neglected by the.
Yeah, the voters felt like, well, you did not show up, you did not speak to us and to the needs of our states. So yeah, it's been a very busy 2020 season, as well as dealing with coronavirus and everything else.
Live stream ended? What?
Busy 2020 season, as well as dealing with coronavirus and everything else.
What the heck? Live stream ended for this?
Never been above 50% job approval in the polls. Has had controversy after controversy, basically daily for the entirety of his presidency, and is knocking on the door. I'm not predicting he's going to get through that door, but is knocking on the door of re-election. That's an extraordinary fact, and that really goes to his astonishing power as a campaigner. And I think what gives Republicans hope about those blue wall states, if you look at Florida, the polling average, final polling average had Trump losing 2 to 3 points. He won by 2 to 3 points. Look at Ohio, final polling average had Trump winning by 0.8% polling average. Last time I looked, he was winning by 8%. So if you get that kind of polling average in Michigan and Pennsylvania, it's very easy to see how Trump wins.
20, but it also explains why the White House is so heated about any call it perceives as premature of the state of Arizona, which bears repeating.
Who knew leaving people outdoors in Omaha could cost you the presidency?
NBC News has not projected Arizona other than to say that Biden is leading, but it's too early to call
Richie and
there.
Robert, thank you
Thanks,
both.
guys. Casey.
Well, I'm not going to lie. I have considered the 269 to 269 Electoral College vote 2020 nightmare scenario because it's 2020. Obviously, that's what would happen based on everything else that's happened this year. But all kidding aside, I do think that the focus on Georgia is correct at this hour. My sources in both parties are starting to focus on that because that data is starting to come in. Republicans feel much better about the Senate race there than they do about the presidential race.
Well,
And Chuck
270.
how close
Biden
is
is at 205. Trump is at 171.
We talked a little earlier in the night about how we're entering the narrative setting phase of this campaign, and the fact that Democrats don't feel as strong about it. They will feel much stronger about it if they can point to Arizona and Georgia as examples of places where the suburbs moved decisively for them. If their advantage spreads out farther across the map, that is going to make it a lot easier for them to make the case that it is very clear who is the winner of this election. And to your point, Savannah, I think that's part of why you're seeing the president and his team be so pugnacious, frankly, about trying to make sure that these kinds of things do not get out into the ether, because this is going to be this kind of narrative fight going forward. And just to button up with the nightmare scenario, I have been having a couple conversations with Democrats who are looking at the map, nervous about that, and starting to think about, okay, what if we do end up with a tie? What if we go to the House of Representatives? Then it's decided by House delegations. So each state gets a vote. If Texas, for example, is controlled by Republicans, the delegation likely would cast their vote for Donald Trump. Does that put us in a scenario where Democrats not focusing enough on the House of Representatives heading into this, perhaps being overconfident on that map, come back to bite them? I honestly, I'm not ready for any of this, at least not until we have some more drinks ahead of today's
Let me go to Andrea, who's been watching the president's latest.
Well, on the president's latest tweet saying that the election is being stolen, Twitter has flagged it, saying some or all of the content shared in this tweet is disputed and might be misleading about an election or other civic process. So
yes, I did vote.
Asserting that there were
Did you?
ballots cast after election day, which
Exactly.
of course there's no.
You better vote.
I've had the 269, 269 as my phone screensaver for about a month.
It's your
I
fault.
really have, and it's like however, I had it a slightly different scenario. I'll admit that. We're going to banish you to the
But it gets
map.
close,
Yeah. All right, we're going to
I
take
guess
a
it's
break.
nerd hour here as we get into the wee hours.
Are you trying to
Yes.
compliment me, right? I take it as a compliment.
He's still not in his shirt sleeves yet, so
No more snacks for Trump.
Decision 2020 election night coverage, a little punchy, but we'll continue after this real quick.
We're glad to have you with us.
This fall, we're right there with you, whether you're back to school or back to work. We're keeping you safe. The last word with Lawrence MSNBC.
But who is Kamala Harris? Join me, Joy Reid, as I explore her life's journey from Oakland to Washington on my 6-part podcast, Kamala, Next in Line. New episodes every Monday. Subscribe for free wherever you get your podcasts.
A real close-knit group of nurses who pulled together when their boss needed help battling coronavirus. You're not just any patient, you're their friend. These folks saved my life. Thank God that there are people who want to run towards a pandemic as opposed to running away from a pandemic.
Introducing the MSNBC Daily, featuring written perspectives by experts you know and trust for a better understanding of the stories that matter most. Check out the MSNBC Daily today at msnbc.com.
You're watching NBC News Now. We've got some breaking news. Are people there concerned about what impact this could have on the election? It's news made for your streaming world.
Michigan.
Watch what they do, not what they say.
President Trump and Joe Biden hit the center of this campaign, coronavirus, the story. The battleground blitz as we enter the final stretch of the
Trump is gonna win Texas. What? I'm live on YouTube. Go on YouTube. Someone donated money to me.
See it?
Yeah. See? Trump. No, Trump did not.
All right, in Minnesota, it is too early to call, but we can say that Joe Biden is leading in that.
No, I'm not. They didn't announce it yet.
Too early to call, but again, it appears that Joe Biden has taken a lead there.
Georgia is the curious one. That
No, they didn't announce it yet.
waiting for those numbers, those votes to come out of the Atlanta area, but right now we characterize it as too early. North Carolina is too close.
Let's go to Pennsylvania. It is too early to call. We await mail-in ballots there, which can arrive up to 3 days. Even though election days, they are postmarked election day. Here's the presidential race in Montana. It's too early to call, waiting for votes there, but the president has a lead.
Maine is too early. Michigan also too early. That's part of what Democrats hope will be that blue wall.
Michigan, yeah, we talked about that. Wisconsin's the other one, too early to call. We're waiting votes in Milwaukee.
Michigan is gonna be Trump.
That one
Ooh.
That at 1 a.m. But I want to show you here.
Still winning, boys. Woo!
I told you as you see right now.
Say hi to the live stream.
5% of the vote is in. We're waiting. That's the difference statewide, 236,000 votes. So, for instance, let's go here to DeKalb County. Right now, you see there's a 100,000 vote margin. Now, let me just take you back here 4 years ago. And Hillary Clinton got a 200 vote margin out of here. So, all right, add up 100. There's 100,000 potential voters that net for Joe Biden that could eat into that lead. So there's one there. I'll give you that. Let's go to Fulton County. He's got here 181,000. Let's see what Hillary Clinton did here. In this case, he's likely to get a bigger number out of there. So I don't know if there's new vote to be gained here, but turnout is above. So we'll see. Maybe there's a little bit there. Let's go into Cobb. This was another one that Hillary Clinton carried, but you see Joe Biden is carrying it by a bigger margin. We still got more to come in. He's got to increase that lead more there. So look, as you can see, there are theoretically the numbers are there for Joe Biden as these numbers come in, but we'll see. Like it all is going to depend. This is all going to be on the margins, but this is going to shrink. You're going to continue to see this number shrink as the night goes on. And it's just all about, is there enough? Is there 240,000 votes somehow more so that he can make up here? We found at least 100 plus that you see is there. So this is why we think this race is going to be one we have to wait till.
Are they still counting in Georgia, to your knowledge? Okay.
Supposedly still counting. I think we had to find out. By the way, because you guys asked, you shall receive. Here's the Georgia recount rules. No automatic recount. You have to petition, but only if it's less than a half a percentage point difference at the end of the day. So that's what you're looking at there. So we will wait and see for a while.
So if Georgia breaks Biden's way, how much does that change the path to 270?
That would change the path to 270 a lot. Like here's where we are now. We got the president with a narrow lead, so we can play the game here. First of all, let's go ahead. If you gave Arizona and Nevada to the president, you do Georgia there, then suddenly the numbers, first of all, let me give North Carolina is certainly leaning in that direction, Minnesota leading in Biden's direction. As you can see here, it takes Pennsylvania off the table, right? Georgia would definitely take Pennsylvania off the table. And frankly, one of the things that we messed up, we just now called, looks like we finally called Rhode Island. We hadn't called Rhode Island. People had been wondering. I just saw the blue got filled in. There's Rhode Island there. But we still haven't called Maine, but let's put it in the, let's do the 3-1 split there, because we know that President Trump is winning that second congressional district. So as you can see, Georgia certainly, you take it away, and then suddenly he's going to need to get back over here and need some of these states.
Okay, stay with me.
Oh, look, no, Hawaii here is blue. Nebraska.
Google.
Get him
Can
to
you get
270. Sorry, I
Google?
had to get you there. But the point is, he can get to 270.
What's TWAP?
Pennsylvania, and that's it. It was the point Rich Lowry was trying to
What's
make. There's
TWAP?
that. But obviously, if you throw Georgia somehow,
Latest updates.
then there's
What
a lot more
latest
padding. In
updates?
fact,
About what?
He could do it without Michigan and Pennsylvania.
And
so
if,
a long way to answer the question, Lester. Georgia would replace Michigan.
I have one more. So if Georgia Georgia goes red,
okay,
how does that change the president's path? Does he still have to go all the way to Pennsylvania?
The president has to go all the way. It looks like no. I think the problem he's got now, right? We've assigned this Alaska. Let's go ahead and give that to the president. That's not no shoe-in. We got to wait here on that. But if you see here, Pennsylvania is not enough.
Michigan is not
He needs
Democrat.
something
What
else
is
here.
what?
He would need perhaps
What?
Michigan would do it, or Wisconsin would do it. But the president may be in a position he needs 2 of those 3 of the blue wall states, not just one of them. So that is something that with
Michigan
Arizona,
is 100% going to be Trump
I'm with
supporters.
you, Savannah. I think we got to wait and see what Nevada's going to do. We've seen the president has improved, particularly with working class voters. When the country has a cold, Nevada gets the flu. They want to go to work. They don't like what's happened there. So I am very curious to see the actual returns come in Nevada before we start projecting.
The exit polls tell us that Nevadans were more focused on
they were evenly split, if you remember.
COVID.
Yeah, they were
on improving business versus
correct.
COVID.
I mean, but no state has been hit harder economically. I mean, think about it. Who's getting on airplanes and traveling to Vegas?
I was there, last week, and still plenty of tourists, but no conventions, very few shows open.
I mean, confession, I think it might be the last time I was on a plane is when we were out there for Vegas to do some debates.
Yeah,
way back when.
Back when we knew about the virus, but had not swept across.
I know half of us were convinced that somehow, how did we avoid not getting into Vegas in February?
It stayed in Vegas. Okay, let's go to some boards here. We've got Montana's presidential race, and we're calling it for President Trump. No surprise there. Rhode Island, Chuck scooped us, Lester.
It showed up on, I was about to look.
Old news now.
Yes, exactly. And in Maine, it's too early to call, but Biden is leading, although there is that one electoral vote in Maine that possibly the president could pick up, and in that scenario of an electoral tie, that could become extremely relevant. So there's your map at this hour, 1:15 on the East Coast. The road to 270, it's filling out, but we've got some key battlegrounds still open at this hour.
Why don't we bring in NBC News political contributor and co-host of The Circus on Showtime, John Heilman, into the conversation. John, it's great to see you. Hopefully you just saw Chuck's breakdown. What do you think about Georgia?
Well, I think that the New York Times is reporting that there was a water main break in Atlanta, in Fulton County. That means that they have said that they are not going to have a final count until tomorrow morning at the earliest. So that's the first thing. If that New York Times report is correct, we're going to be waiting for a while on Georgia. I do think that Chuck is laying out a scenario that is, as he looks at those counties that have not come all the way in, he's making a very strong point. Of all the stories of the last week, you guys, the last week of the campaign, the only of the non-core 6 battleground states, the real 6 battleground states, Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Florida, and Arizona, those 6 states that both campaigns spent money in and fought in all year long. The story of the last 7 days was Georgia. There was people who fantasized about Texas, including me, about whether all the early vote meant something was changing in Texas. There were good theories of the case, and you explored all these second-tier battleground states. But in Georgia, there was something really was going on, and you could see the Biden campaign went in there late. They spent money there late. Barack Obama did his penultimate event of the campaign in Atlanta. This was a state that there was a growing conventional wisdom on both sides, I will say, not just Democrats but Republicans, that Joe Biden would have a better chance at taking Georgia than taking Florida. And as we sit here now, that piece of conventional wisdom is proven true. Donald Trump was stronger in Florida in 2020 than he was in 2016. And it is still the case that Joe Biden could win Georgia, and NBC News has been smart to not do what some others did earlier this evening and looked at some of that early return and said, Georgia's going to go to Donald Trump. We're seeing that the longer this night goes on, the better that state looks for Joe Biden. That's not to say he's going to win it, but he's still in it. And we might not know about that one, just like we're not going to know possibly about Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania for at least another 24 hours, maybe longer.
Speaking of, we've also held our fire on Arizona because we're awaiting vote there. And Doug Ducey, who is the governor of Arizona, tweeted a little earlier this evening, it's far too early to call the election in Arizona. Election day votes are not fully reported, and we haven't even started to count early ballots that were dropped off at the polls. In Arizona, we protected Election Day. Let's count the votes all the time before making declarations. So interesting to see. It looks like it's going to be a pause in Arizona, potentially no call tonight. But the governor there indicating not only are they counting Election Day votes, but when people brought their early ballots straight to the polls, that they still need to count those as well.
John, thanks very much. Good to talk to you. We're going to take a break. Be back with more Decision 2020 election night coverage after this short break.
Mail, early in person, or on election day. Each state the way we cast our ballots. Yes, it's a little confusing. Figure it out now. Take 15 minutes and plan your vote. ASAP. Some places, polls are already open. Go. Make sure your voice is heard. Plan your vote. Plan your vote. Plan your vote.
battleground blitz as we enter the final stretch of the 2020 race.
From every angle.
If you were sitting here talking to Joe Biden and President Trump, what would you want to tell him right now?
On the ground.
The wind spanning these flames are expected to last another 24 hours.
And in depth.
We now have 2 vaccine trials on hold. Should people be concerned?
NBC Nightly News with Lester Holt.
Good morning. Welcome to Today. We're glad to have you with us.
This fall, we're right there with you. Whether you're back to school.
What do you guys think? We're excited?
Or back to work. We're keeping you safe.
I love being back.
Every morning on Today.
Police murder of unarmed black men has been an American way of death across centuries. After seeing the most comprehensive police reform bill ever introduced in Congress, I've begun to wonder if now is the time. If now is the time the protesters finally win.
The Last Word with Lawrence O'Donnell. Weeknights at 10 on MSNBC.
Good morning. Welcome to Today. We're glad to have you with us.
This fall, we're right there with you. Whether you're back to school.
What do you guys think? We're excited?
Or back to work. We're keeping you safe.
I love being back.
Every morning on Today.
Welcome back to NBC News Election Night coverage, 2020 election. A lot of things in play right now. We're still waiting on some big battleground states, but a lot of different possibilities beginning to open up. Let's go first to Chuck, who's looking at some of those possibilities.
Yeah, let's go. I mean, we just want to keep checking in. I mean, I think that's, I know where everybody else is. We're down. I feel like we've got this down to it's right where we said it was going to be. Focus on the battleground states we told you they were going to be, right? These 3, Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. Let's just get a check in here. This is just incremental, as you can see. And again, it's almost all today's vote. Very little coming in. Let's just check to see how we're doing. Still, nothing new out of Philadelphia, Andrea. We're sitting at the same number we were a half hour ago. So we got nothing there. Let's go to Michigan to see how things coming. I can tell you that Dante Cini, who is a Michigan native, our data guy, he's looked in here and he doesn't see things that look great for Trump in what's come in, which means that this could be when everything comes in. This is why there's a lot of bullishness among Democrats that when the early vote, and again, we've barely touched the early vote here, as you can see. Yellow is today's vote. The orange is when we get that. And we know Michigan, the Michigan Secretary of State told me this. It was going to be 2 to 3 days, period, on Michigan. But the modeling right now does still favor Biden, for what it's worth, on that front. And I know everybody's thinking polls, modeling. I'm not believing any of this stuff. I get it. But I'm just letting you know what our data says at this point. And if you've seen here, and this is, again, Wisconsin's another one why Democrats are bullish that they're going to, that when we get the early vote and the mail-in vote all to come in, that they're going to overcome this difference. And really, the big area is going to be Milwaukee. That's going to be a huge dump, and we expect that vote between 4 and 7. But as you can see here, this is really narrowed. We're down to 4 percentage points. So it doesn't look like Donald Trump has enough same-day vote to build the pad there. And of course, there's Georgia. Let's just see if we've gotten any new vote. A little bit, but not much. We're still waiting for most of that Atlanta vote. So there's your update right now. We're going to be crawling, maybe bundles of votes at a time here for a little bit.
And Andrea, and I'll ask you, Chuck, as well. If we're truly in a situation where we're waiting for Thursday for some of these results, tell me what it's going to look like between now and that period in terms of what we're hearing from the candidates, what how people are processing.
Joe Biden got out there tonight because he was trying to win the perception battle, because it is taking longer. You know that they wanted to get a vote out of Georgia. They wanted to bag Georgia and North Carolina. They didn't think they could get Florida, but they wanted a different path than waiting, because they knew they'd have to wait days for the early vote from the 3 Rust Belt states. And so they really wanted to get it in before Pennsylvania, because they knew what the president would do. And he went ahead and tweeted. Twitter flagged that tweet, said it was not accurate, to talk about a rigged or stolen election when there are millions of votes still not counted. You just don't have the early vote. We've had an unprecedented election with so much early vote. It's got to be counted.
Nebraska.
We have just called Nebraska 2 and Nebraska 1, which means, and it is not going to be solid red. I am curious to see how we do this. I don't think I'm supposed to make this change here. We'll get it back here in the map. You'll see. But we have called Nebraska 2 for Joe Biden, so he will get one more in here. And again,
all right, we're going to just pause briefly here, Chuck, for some stations to bring you local results as Decision 2020 election coverage continues on NBC. All right, we're back. Chuck, I'm sorry, pick up where you were.
Sorry, here we are in Nebraska, and I'm just trying to show you. We have called this now. It's not registering here, but we have called. Our decision desk says Joe Biden's going to win this electoral vote, which we know Nebraska splits up. So that's one. It's an important one. And again, look, Rich Lowry was the first to point this out. This does add, especially if Arizona and Nevada end up both blue, this means the president needs 2 of his 3 from the blue wall states of Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. He can't just do this with Michigan. If indeed Arizona is headed in blue, Nevada's blue, and Minnesota stays the way it is. So that's what that Nebraska electoral vote does. It sort of adds one more hurdle to the president.
Yeah, I mean, Casey, the way it would shake out is, and this is where it gets interesting, because if Michigan and Wisconsin go for Biden, Arizona goes for Biden, and now you add that one little congressional district in Nebraska, then suddenly the Democrats don't need Pennsylvania. So I think that is why so much effort actually was focused on a single congressional district in Omaha, Nebraska.
Yeah, it's really remarkable. It could be the little electoral college vote that could for so many Democrats who, frankly, want a few more hours of sleep after a very long campaign, because you're exactly right, and Chuck laid out the math there. This sort of 269 to 269 2020 nightmare scenario really only plays out when you have that Nebraska vote going to Donald Trump, and we have just called it for Joe Biden. And that, as you outlined, means that if Biden does well in Michigan and Wisconsin, as currently my sources are still expecting, and Chuck walked through the data there with the caveats that we've had a lot of data that was wrong tonight. But what that does is it means that if there is a prolonged fight over ballots in Pennsylvania, and if there are these legal battles through the courts about counting ballots, etc., we may not have to know the answer to that in order to know who has won the White House in the Electoral College. Now, obviously, we are projecting out a lot here at, what time is it, 1:28 in the morning on Wednesday. We still, I think, do not know what we're going to say on the Today Show tomorrow, Savannah.
I think briefly we want to mention that where are we? Georgia now is too close to call. That's a new characterization.
Too close to call. All right, so we'll continue to keep our eye on that. Votes still being counted at this hour. We await decisions. We're going to take a brief pause here, let some of our stations rejoin our coverage. Let's pause for just a moment.
All right, welcome back to our 2020 election night / wee hours of the morning coverage. We're going to show you where we're at right now. I mentioned just a moment ago in the Georgia presidential race, it's too close to call now. That's one we've been watching carefully, waiting for a lot of votes to come in from the Atlanta area. Pennsylvania, too early right now.
All right, let's go to the upper Midwest. Minnesota, too early to call, but our projection is that Biden has a lead there. Arizona, same story, too early to call, but Biden does have a lead.
We're looking at North Carolina. Been watching that closely for quite a while now. Too close to call. Maine, too early. Biden leads in Maine, however.
All right, let's go to Michigan. There's a state that we're not going to get the vote all counted up for a couple of days. Too early to call. Wisconsin, same story. Too early to call, and we're awaiting votes in Milwaukee area, among others.
Waiting for votes in Nevada. Too early to call in Nevada. Let's show you where we stand right now in the Electoral Tally in the road to 270. Donald Trump with 213, Biden with 210. One of them needs 270.
By the way, I just wanted to show you guys how that worked. I did Casey's calculation so we could show her work there. And as you can see, there is a right at the number. We had to make sure we call Hawaii. That assumes Hawaii votes Democratic as we do here. But Nevada, Arizona, if they hang on to that, then Democrats can do this without Pennsylvania or North Carolina or Georgia. Or you look at it the other way, the president can win Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Georgia, and he's too short. And he'd be 2 electoral votes short at this point. But you talked about Georgia, and that ultimately, I think we need to go back there. We got to see if Mr. Heilman's report there about the water main break, how much that's going to, you know what, I think he's right, because this has been sitting at 87% for the last 20 minutes. So I'm not going to bother coming back in. We've been sitting at 236,000 spread. I think it is time to find out if our friends in Georgia have decided to go to bed tonight or whether they're going to keep counting vote and delivering them.
Okay, the assignment has been handed out. What about Nevada? Are we going to get any numbers from Nevada tonight?
Yeah, I know we kept threatening to put our man John Ralston on the air. And
Yes.
John Ralston has done the math. He will tell you that, the way Nevada works, we don't have much, look, 7%. But Nevada is basically arguably a 2-county state. I'm going to mispronounce Washoe County. I always do, and my apologies, Mr. Ralston. That's where Reno is, Clark County, where Vegas is. Basically, are the population centers. Democrats run up the score here. Republicans want to. They got to basically match the Democrats there, and then roar big time in here. I think the only way the president actually wins this is if his overperformance with Latinos in Florida translates to Clark County in Las Vegas.
We want to bring in Democratic Senator Bob Casey of Pennsylvania, who knows the state inside and out, also spoke to former Vice President Biden tonight. What did he say to you? We've got reports, Senator Casey, that he was calling and saying, hey, where are the votes? How come we haven't seen the votes come in yet in some of these key counties for the Democrats?
No, we had a good conversation. He was just checking in, I guess about a little more than an hour ago. And I was telling him what I knew, which wasn't a lot in the blue counties. And I was expressing real frustration we didn't have more numbers. But he was very patient and upbeat, and so am I. He's going to win Pennsylvania. It's going to be close. It's going to be a long count, but he's going to win.
So what is your assessment of the way the votes are coming in right now?
Well, because you have so many mail-in ballots in the blue counties, the 4 big suburban Philadelphia counties and Philadelphia, Allegheny County, those numbers aren't tabulated yet. And the president's smaller rural counties that he's done really well and have reported a lot more. But even in those counties, Joe Biden's been shaving off some numbers by getting more of a vote because you're not getting as much of a third-party vote. So the raw vote for Joe Biden's better in a lot of counties than it was in 16. And then the suburban Philadelphia vote is going to be monumental. And I think Allegheny County is going to be better, a lot better than 16. So it'll be close, and it might take a while to get to the final number, but maybe by sometime in the morning we'll know more about the bigger population.
Well, this is the hour of the morning when we get a little nerdy.
Trump
here, so
isn't
let's get to
gonna
Erie County,
win.
which can be a bellwether. The president was up there seeing Erie voters. Trump won that in 2016 by 2. Obama won it big in 08-12, so it feels like one of those counties that swings. What are you hearing?
Well, I haven't seen a final number there yet, but I think it's like a lot of places. I think he's going to be able to shave down margin. But I think in the end, this is an election now that will come down to one market and a half. In other words, half of the Pittsburgh market and half of in the whole Philadelphia college market. When President Obama won the state in 2012, he won by 5, carried only 2 markets. The big Philly market, more than 40% of votes.
Senator, I'm going to interrupt you just for a brief second. If you please, because we've got a call in Minnesota. NBC News projects that Joe Biden will win the state of Minnesota 10 electoral votes. And Senator, I'll let you react to that if you'd like.
That's great.
There's a remix.
Another win.
This case smells good.
All right, good talking.
Thank you very much.
All right, be well.
Thank you, Senator. that was interesting because remember we had heard from Jason Miller, the Trump campaign chair or advisor earlier, that he felt that Minnesota could be in play for President Trump. NBC now.
Look, he gave us numbers that look like they're closer to right in North Carolina, but his Minnesota projection was pretty off. 8-point win. Look, this was a state that I'm going to guess that this, and you know, it's funny as we're sorting out this night, the president is the one that may look around the map and go, boy, there were some missed opportunities. They talked about Minnesota. They didn't make a real campaign in Minnesota. They talked about Nevada. They didn't make a real campaign in Nevada. You start to look around. Look, we're experiencing a major realignment in this country, a political realignment where it's lopsided on the popular vote, but it's dead even in this electoral college. We have this sort of rural urban split that is real. Looks like suburban America may be moving, sort of 60% with the blue team, with the 40% maybe hanging with the red team, and that means we are living in a very polarized world.
Flip side of that, should Democrats have done more in Georgia?
Well, it's interesting. I had a former Democratic member of Congress send me an email earlier tonight and go, I want to know who the staffer was that thought it was a good idea to send Joe Biden to Iowa and Ohio yesterday for stops, when basically Joe Biden's losing Iowa and Ohio by a point less than Hillary Clinton did. So it turns out that what everybody thought was happening in Iowa and Ohio, that this was a state that Donald Trump, that wasn't an outlier in 16, that it was moving. It's gotten confirmed tonight.
Just pointing out that Blaine Alexander is reporting from Atlanta that the officials there say they are still counting, that the water main is not stopping them from counting, and that the count goes on in Fulton County.
Let me bring Casey to the conversation. Casey, Joe Biden positioned himself as the responsible candidate, if I can use that term, of wearing the mask and not doing the big crowds. As these numbers get reported out, are we going to look at that different in terms of his inability to really get out there and shake the hands and do the ground stuff?
Well, it's a difficult calculation, Lester, because if you think about how this pandemic has played out and where many people thought the race.
I might end the live stream. It's just gonna be slow talk until tomorrow's final election. So yeah, see you in the next live tomorrow. So yeah, peace out. Any last words? Any last comments? Anything? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm leaving the live stream. Peace out.